What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I'm a little sick today, but I'm still here giving it to you guys because I'm just like that. But if I start coughing or something like that, like, you know what it is. All right. But I want to talk about the number one projected draft pick in the upcoming 2025 NBA draft, Cooper Flagg, because there's a lot of speculation looming that he might return to Duke for his sophomore season, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. I can understand from his perspective why he would want to do that, but I could not rationalize anybody in the right mind actually doing that. Because when you're projected to be the number one overall pick, and it's not like there's a question, like he's going number one in the draft, no doubt in my mind. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind who covers the NBA or college basketball for that matter. And the fact that he is so vocal, or has been at least, that, you know, he's considering coming back, right? And I don't know if it's just like kind of like a ruse he's trying to throw up to like build the excitement once he finally does declare. But you risk so much by returning to school for an additional year. Like, he just had this, you know, sprained ankle. He got carted off back to the locker room in a wheelchair, right? Like, you know, he could have had a worse injury, right? He could tear something, he could break an arm, he could break a leg, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? And an injury like that is a lot harder to come back from, especially if you tear something in your knees, you tear your Achilles, something like that. And as long as you're playing basketball, you always risk that happening, right? And the play style he plays with, being so athletic and, you know, playing above the rim, getting a lot of rebounds, playing really intense defense, there's a big risk that he could succumb to one of those injuries, right? And the other thing I'd like to know is AJ Dimbatsa, who committed to BYU, he's in the class below Cooper. He's projected to be the number one overall pick outright, like already, like almost like a done debate in next year's draft, right? And I've heard people talk saying that, you know, if Cooper goes back to school, it's not, even if he doesn't get injured, nothing like that, he improves, it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to go number one in next year's draft, right? It's probably going to be them two going 1 and 2, but, you know, he might not be the number one pick, right? So you're losing out on a little bit of money. Obviously, the number one and the number two overall picks, they're still making a decent, hefty sum of cash. But, like, you know, and other people are saying, you know, he wants to stay at Duke because he's already making money, right? He's making money with the NIL deals. He has the New Balance deal, all this stuff. But you're making some serious money if you're the number one overall pick. Like, Zachary Risachet, who was last year's first overall pick, is making $12.5 million in his rookie season. The total contract value is like nearly like $60 million. I think it's like 55 to 60 million, right? So that's a lot of money. I would have to assume that Cooper Flagg is not making that amount of money yet, right? So if he goes to the league, he's going to be making more money. That's like without a doubt, right? And I think he's just going to be playing against better competition, right? He's going to be playing against NBA players every single night, every day in practice, all that. And that's just what it is. I've also heard the argument that, you know, he wants to avoid going to a bad team. He could play the next 4 years in college. He's probably going to go to a bad team if he's a top 2 pick. That's just how the NBA works. Like, there's really no way around it, right? And frankly, guys like this want to be the number one pick because you want to turn a franchise around. Like, look at what Cade Cunningham has done. It's taken him a little while, but he's showing why he's been worthy of that number one pick all those years back, right? Like, it's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me if he actually does decide to stay. I understand it, right? Like, I loved college too, don't get me wrong, but like, if I had the chance to go to the league and make millions of dollars and play basketball as my job, I don't have to worry about class, none of that, I'd want to do it. And again, I get it. College experience is a once in a lifetime type of thing. You know, he's definitely the star on campus. He's Cooper Flagg. He's probably having a great time. But again, I don't know if it's worth it to say, I'm going to stay another year. I just don't. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. And obviously you have guys in the past who've done this, like, Tim Duncan way back when stayed all 4 years in college, right? But I just feel like the world is different now. People pay so much attention to how old a player is entering the league, and they base so much of it off of that. And like Cooper Flagg, I think, is already younger for his age. Like, I think he's not even going to be 19 by the time he plays his first NBA game if he goes into the draft this year. But so I don't think that's going to be that much of an issue. But it's like, again, I just think the injury risk is too much, right? Like, if he goes back to Duke and he tears his ACL or he tears his meniscus or something like that, that's a problem, because that changes a lot of things. And he had a press conference where he was saying he wants everything to just slow down. Like, he wants the years passing by to slow down. And I get that. That's just a natural thing when you age, right? And he's been in the spotlight for so long. I think he's been in the spotlight since he was like 14 or 15 years old. So I can understand where he's coming from. But at the end of the day, like, when the season wraps up, like, you got to make the best decision for yourself long term, right? Because you're only going to stay at college for max 5 years, right? You can do a grad degree and stuff, but if he's still at Duke 4 years from now, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a big problem. Like, I don't even know if he's going to go number one at that point anymore, because there's always new young talent coming up. You never know what's going to happen. If he wants to stay one more year, I don't think it's the end of the world. I just think it's too big of a risk to take right now, because you're projected to go number one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And like, just for context, this guy is leading Duke in 5 statistical categories, the 5 major statistical categories, that being points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. So there's a very good reason why he is projected to be the number 1 overall pick. A lot of people, I think, coming out of high school for him, we're saying, oh, well, we'll see how he does at Duke. And he's performed, and he's exceeded expectations, honestly, in my opinion. So I don't know what the future holds right now. I will be kind of shocked if I see some, breaking news announcement on the ESPN ticker saying Cooper Flagg is deciding to return to Duke for his sophomore season. I think that'd be pretty crazy. But again, anything is possible, and you got to make the best decision for yourself. So whether he decides to stay or he decides to go into the league, I'll be happy for him regardless. But, we'll see what happens. But I want to know what you guys think, man. What do you think would happen if Cooper Flagg stayed an extra year at Duke? Do you think it would be good for him? Do you think it'd be bad? I want to know your thoughts. So please leave some comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys later, man. Stay safe, handle business, stand on business. Peace.